This is a free download of the FM104 Phone Show, Ireland's #1 late-night radio show with Adrian Kennedy.
If a woman is working in a certain company in the service industry and a customer decides to make a sexual comment, should this be taken seriously as real sexual harassment? Or should a woman just laugh it off and just see it as a bit of banter? Well, I'd like to hear from you. 6797104 is our telephone number. And the reason I'm talking about it is because of a message that we got on our 24-hour hotline. And I want you to have a listen to this and see what you think of this.
Hey, I'd like to bring up a topic that's after happened recently. It's about female members of staff working in the bar and restaurant industry, about sexual harassment comments being made by fellow publicans that are drinking in the vicinity. An incident happened on two occasions. On the second occasion happened in front of a full room, including other staff members, about the chest size of the girl. She brought this to the attention of another female member of staff who's actually a duty manager and is being told that there's nothing we can do about it, and that it's not a case of sexual harassment and our hands are tied, there's nothing we can do. Just actually discussed that the fact that another female member of staff said there's nothing you can do, and it's a strong case of sexual harassment that's going on verbally within her workplace. Thanks.
All right, now there's her message, and I'd like to hear from you, 6797104. By the way, Tanya in Ballier sent me a text just a moment ago. Tanya, we did a whole half hour on that earlier on. We did a whole half hour on that earlier on, and there was nothing sinister in it at all. This goes back to the recording that we played earlier on in the programme. If you missed it, where were you? Jeez, where were you? And she said, Adrian, I heard a recording earlier of the sound in the background of a mobile recording. Frightened the crap out of me. Anyway, Tanya, we did talk about it earlier on, and we did discover that the slowed down recording is just when you speed it up, just two people having a conversation and a baby screaming. Nothing to be worried about. Anyway, 6797104 is our telephone number. Are there certain jobs that you have to expect a little bit of banter, a little bit of slagging, a little bit of whatever? Terry, you're on FM104. How are you, Terry?
I'm actually quite horrified, to be quite honest. Which way, Adrian?
Why?
Because I don't think, be it any job, irrespective of if it's someone from a scheme, cleaning toilets, etc., nobody should have to put up with that, be they from an upper class area like mine or otherwise. Now, I do admit that the girl that's on the recording there, she is, I have a lower tone in her accent, and I my battery, bear with me, Adrian, can you hear me?
I'm listening to you.
Just basically, I'm just going to actually put you on charge there. Bear with me now, because I don't want to go away from this. This is something that's quite dear to my heart, but I think it's absolutely appalling. If they're not prepared to do something about that in her job,
well, somebody just texted in, the girl does have a case. The employer has a duty of care to protect her from harassment. The manager was wrong. Oh, sorry, we're after losing Terry. We'll try and get her back in a second. 6797104 is our telephone number. The question that I'm asking, she's working in a bar. Does working in a bar not involve a bit of banter? You might necessarily like, but it's just a bit of banter. Or is this woman right to be wanting to take a sexual harassment claim? She's in a bar and somebody might say, a punter says, stand up there and we'll have a look at your breasts again. Or, they're a fine pair of tits you have there, love. Is that not all part of the banter that goes on in the pub industry in particular? Or is she right to be wanting to sue and to be wanting to, take a case for sexual harassment? Terry, the point I'm making is there not certain jobs that it kind of comes with the territory almost?
Now, Adrian, be reasonable. No lady should have to put up with that, and any lady that puts up with that is not a lady. That's something that you possibly find in somewhere in the inner city in a lower class establishment, but it's still not acceptable in any means or manner. Now, if the job is not prepared to go forward with a case for that girl, she can legally represent herself, and her work colleagues they also can represent her and go as a support team. It is totally unacceptable, especially in front of a gentleman, and for a lady to sneer at another lady's bosoms is out of the question.
Right. It's out of the question. So this woman
appalling.
is working in a bar, and okay, it is obviously a sexist thing for a guy to say. But the question that I'm asking is she not in the wrong line of business? Basically, should she not be looking for a different type of job if she's not able for the kind of banter that goes with working in a bar?
Respect comes in many shapes and forms, Adrian, and it's nothing to do with the fact that she's worked in a lower placed job or etc. She's still entitled. We all get a basic right in life, and that right is free. It's free of charge. We get it not to keep, but to give it away, and what that's called is respect, Adrian.
Respect.
We get it free.
Okay, but again, the question that I'm asking, Terry, is: are there not certain jobs that I mean, if she was working in an office, I'd say fair enough. But she's working in a bar, and should she not just have to accept that comes with the territory? I'm not saying it's right.
Oh, but Adrian, that's very double standard. You're not saying it's right, but yet she should have to put up with it. She's not paid to put up with it, and no amount of money compensates for insulting a woman's body.
Well, nobody said that we're insulting her. Stand up there, love, and we can have a look at your breasts again.
No, hang on a minute, Adrian.
It's not insulting her. He obviously likes her breasts.
And said to you, Adrian, I was just listening to you there, and I was just wanted to discuss what you have in your trousers. Would you think that was acceptable?
I'd probably laugh.
Well, it may be because that's the type of person you are.
No, I'd probably just laugh it off.
Shows your background.
Ali, stay there for a second, Terry. Ali, you're on FM104. How are you, Ali?
Hi, how's it going?
Ali, a girl's working in a bar. Punters are making comments about her boobs. She makes a complaint to her manager. Do you think she should just get over this?
Yeah, just get over it. Like, your man is probably locked anyway, and she's probably, do you know what I mean?
See,
probably
that's
locked
what you're
as
prepared
saying
to
it's
put up with
everybody that walks past. It's not her. It's not the end. You know, it's not the end of the world. Get over it.
She'd accept that, though.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, say that again, Terry?
I said, like,
the type of person that would accept that.
you're talking to me or the other lady?
No, I'm talking to the other lady. Are you the sort of person, Sinead, that would be able to just laugh that off? Sinead? Hello, Sinead?
Yeah, hi,
Are you the sort of person that would be able to just laugh that off?
Yeah, I just walk past it, you know?
She would encourage and invite that kind of stuff into, and that's what happens in society, you know what I mean?
But like, no, what are you going to go cry to your manager and say, oh, I'm
Well, exactly, because that's what your manager is there for, and if you've any kind of respect for yourself, you won't put up with that.
Oh, God, would you stop? Sure, you're only wasting time. You're only wasting time. You know what I mean?
I beg your pardon?
I said, you're only wasting time going to the manager crying, boo-hoo.
So you're going to go out and expose your body to the public.
Stop. How old are you anyway, about 50?
You're going to go out there, expose your body to the public, your breasts included, and God knows what else. And you want a cheer on, for a set of cheerleaders in the background.
I'm not walking past with my tits out. I'm walking past like with a tray or something. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you, Sinead, have you ever worked in a bar?
Yeah, I have.
And did you ever get comments like that?
Yeah, I get comments every single night.
Right. And does it bother you, or do you just brush it off as pub banter?
Yeah, I just brush it off as part of the job. Just, good luck. What do you want? What would you like to drink? You know.
See what I mean? She encourages every bit of it.
She hardly encourages it.
No, I mean, she has just referred to herself as a cow there, as with her tits. A lady has...
No, you're not even listening to me. I said...
You're very, very clearly. You're not paid for that unless you get under-the-counter money.
Oh, would you stop? Would you? There's something wrong with you.
That's appalling to accept that and put a woman in this... I mean, that's...
Adrian, listen to me. She's overreacting, right? You're doing your job.
Well, she's basically saying that this woman who left the message is dead right to be putting in a complaint to her employer.
Well, at the end of the day, if the girl is that what she wants to do, if she, you know what I mean, if she wants to go and do that, her manager might just turn around and say, this is the 5th time you've come to me. Will you please, like, you know, nobody's gonna hurt you doing it. Your man's probably drunk. Just give him
respectable for these drunk or sober, as I pointed out.
And let me ask you, Sinead, have you ever or would you ever put in a complaint about some people, making comments like that?
No, I don't think it's relevant.
No, she would love it. I know by the sound
No,
of her.
I don't
It's just
think it's
something
relevant.
she's obviously from the lower class areas.
Oh, the lower class area. Oh, here we go. Is this about the Dublin accent thing now, is it?
That's it, exactly. And
Cop on with yourself. Adrian, look, I think she's way overreacting, you know what I mean?
No, I'm a lady, that's the difference.
You're a lady. Okay, that's fair enough. You sound like a lady.
I know I do, dear, and I think it wouldn't do you any harm.
Okay, Ali, a lot of people would say that you're letting the side down, that if you are prepared to accept men making comments like that about your boobs or whatever, that you're letting women down.
Look, I was in work today, okay?
Yep.
And I was coming out of there's a little area you can walk through, and one of the guys says, "Oh, hey, sexy, can I have me pint of Guinness?" I said, "Yeah, no problem, I'll bring it out to you." Now, what's wrong with that?
Okay, all right, stay there for 1 second. Sandra, you're on FM104. How are you, Sandra?
Hey, Adrian.
Now, Sandra, you are basically saying if you work in that kind of environment, you have to know the sort of banter that's going to go on.
Yeah, like I myself, I'm from a working class area, but I don't see that there's an old woman talking there. I can't remember what her name is.
Her name is Terry.
Oh, I'm not
Terry, like she's been a bit out of line the way she's saying that about the working class. There's a lot of women in the world who like men saying things about their boobs, and there's a lot of women in the world who don't like people speaking about their boobs. But in the worst case scenario, like what's the worst that can happen, you know?
It's just insulting, disgusting to the womanhood.
Why would it? If right, okay. If a man is saying that's a nice pair of tits you have there, how is that insulting her? It's complimenting her. They're not there to not be noticed. They're there to be noticed.
He's not there.
There's people out there who pay. There's people out there who pay for huge bills like that, and they're sitting there hoping that they're complimented.
He is not there to refer to you as a cow, and if you want to advertise yourself in that manner, you can do it and earn money at night on a better location in the city centre at a truck stop.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
You obviously have all your airs and graces.
Can I ask you, Sandra, have you ever worked in a bar?
I have. I worked in a bar for 3 years.
Okay, and did you ever get silly comments like that?
Well, unfortunately, I am not blessed with big boobs, but I did work with girls who did get comments said about that, and they just kind of laughed it off, and you just get on with it. Like, people know that they have them. They know they're going to get commented on. Girls are not stupid. They know that men are looking at them, you know. It's not an unnoticed thing, like.
Okay, so, and they just laughed it off. It didn't bother them?
No, it didn't bother them.
I want you to have a listen again, if you will, to this message from our 24-hour hotline and see what you make of this.
Hey, I'd like to bring up a topic that's after happened recently. It's about female members of staff working in the bar and restaurant industry, about sexual harassment comments being made by fellow publicans that are drinking in the vicinity. An incident happened on 2 occasions. On the second occasion happened in front of a full room, including other staff members, about the chest size of the girl. She brought this to the attention of another female member of staff who's actually a duty manager and is being told that there's nothing we can do about it and that it's not a case of sexual harassment and our hands are tied, there's nothing we can do. Just actually discussed that the fact that another female member of staff said there's nothing we can do and it's a strong case of sexual harassment that's going on verbally within her workplace. Thanks.
So if somebody comments on your boobs while you're working in a bar, is it sexual harassment? That's the question that we're asking. Or is it just part of the job that you just, whether you like it, you mightn't like it, but it's just something you have to put up with? And Terry, you heard the lady's message. You think that the manager in that case was bang out of order not to deal with this complaint properly?
Oh, she certainly was, and the fact that horrifies me more so is the fact that she also was a female. what I would like to say as well is the young lady in question on that record refers to it in the proper context as a chest. It is not something to be there as an exhibitionist up on sale with the drinks. It doesn't come free, gratis and for nothing with a packet of peanuts. It's something, it's personal, it's yours, and it's not there for anyone to discuss or put on advertisement. It's appalling. Now, that young girl that I rang on the phone, Laura, I don't know what her name was, I've actually left my number with that girl. And if that young lady would want to contact me, I would certainly help her fight that case with a very reputable solicitor.
Oh, really? You would feel that strongly about that?
I would, because as I say, the other girls, obviously, they would be some form of exhibitionist. I can...
Well, Ali, are you some form of exhibitionist? Ali?
Sorry, yeah?
Are you still there? I mean, basically she's saying you're some form of exhibitionist if you don't see the problem here.
That's really, and she's saying that I'm just like, offering them a drink, saying, hi, you're looking at my tits, would you like a free drink? That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing my job. I'm asking them. I'm asking them, would they like? Are they okay for a drink? Is everything all right? Is the place okay for you? You know what I mean? And I'd rather another thing, by the way, that they said, oh, you're looking very well tonight, or a compliment then, oh, Jesus, look the size of the arse on you, or the state of your face.
It's irrespective of what your boss...
Yeah, I have respect for myself.
You have certainly no respect.
No, listen to me. I wouldn't want them... I wouldn't be okay.
You refer to yourself as a cow with tits. A cow has tits. A lady has breasts.
A cow with tits, am I?
No, she said a cow has tits, a lady has breasts.
Oh, sorry. No, you see, you just, you don't work there if you like I was in work tonight, I'm only home tonight.
I certainly don't, because if I was going to employ...
Well, that's your problem. That's your problem.
No,
you can't be giving people abuse.
That's not my problem, because I have not taken it on board. You're obviously...
Terry,
noting in it.
Terry, see the way you're calling me these names. What if I'm
getting money under the counter first?
Can you shut your mouth for a minute?
Yeah, just let her speak. Go on, Ali.
Right, okay. See the way she's calling me those names and all that? What if I said to you afterwards, look, Adrian, I want to talk to you about this. I'm not happy. She was giving me abuse. She's calling me names. What's she going to think about that?
No.
She doesn't have any...
Okay, a lot of people, Ali, are saying that this is just banter, and you mightn't necessarily like it, but it comes with the territory, and you're agreeing with that, are you? Are you there, Ali?
Yeah, no, so yeah, it's stupidity. It's absolute stupidity, the way she's carrying on. It's like it's the end of the world.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Rebecca, you're on FM104. How are you, Rebecca?
Hi, fine, thank you. How are you?
Now, Rebecca, you think that this the lady who left the message in the first place, that manager should have taken this more seriously?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I do. And I do think that a lot of your guests tonight, Adrian, are kind of making light of it. Like, now, if she had felt that it was banter, she wouldn't have gone to her manager. She obviously felt like it was assault. It was obviously serious to her. Now, girls are always on the fence about this. Some girls like it, some girls don't. At the end of the day, she went to her boss because she didn't. Now, I worked in a bar over the summer, and I had something more serious than this happen to me. And I went to my manager.
And when you say more serious, what do you mean?
I mean, there was a little bit of kind of touching involved. And I mean, it wasn't like, abusive or anything like that. But I essentially just said, listen, I don't really want to be working in that area. They asked why. I told them why. And the people in that area were asked to leave. And that's what should have happened. Now, I don't know about suing or anything like that over kind of verbal abuse. But definitely something should have been done about that. If she felt uncomfortable in her workplace, something should have been done.
Okay, so the manager was wrong to say there's nothing I can do about it. But is it not just par for the course with a job like that? I mean, if you're working in an office, you don't expect that sort of banter. And if you get it, then you probably have a very strong sexual harassment case. But if you're working in a bar, in a nightclub or whatever, isn't that the sort of thing that goes on?
But if it was something that someone had to deal with, that would have been said in the job interview. You know, like, now let's...
Come on, we all know what goes on in bars.
But Adrian, it shouldn't happen though. And I do agree with what Terry's saying. Like, I mean, some girls are fine about it and that's okay. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to expect something like that. If you don't feel uncomfortable by it, that's fine. But if you do, you shouldn't have to expect that in your workplace. Be it a bar or...
Well, there you are, Ali. Ali's not there. I wanted to talk to her. A lot of people are saying, though, Rebecca, that it's just a bit of banter.
But she didn't feel like it was banter. To her, it wasn't banter. To her, it felt like assault. It felt like something serious. Do you know? And people deal with these things differently. Okay, to someone else, it could have been a bit of banter. On a different night, to her, it could have been a bit of banter, but it wasn't that night. She felt like she was assaulted. And at the end of the day, her manager is supposed to be looking after her staff, and she wasn't looked after that night. She just wasn't.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Lorcan, you're on FM104. How are you, Lorcan?
How are you doing, Adrian? How are you?
Now, Lorcan, interesting. First fella on this. Is this woman right to be annoyed, or is it just a bit of fun?
There's 2 points on this. The first point is, if it was a hunk of a fella, would she mind? Or is this because it's an elderly man making a smart comment?
That's a good question. I don't know whether it was an elderly man or not, but...
In my own opinion, I don't think she'd mind one bit if it was a nice hunk that was looking at her. I think she'd take more of a compliment.
Okay, well, I can't answer that because I don't know how the fella looked.
You took the words out of your mouth there when you were saying, like, what does she expect? She's in a bar.
Is that a good enough answer, Rebecca? What does she expect? She's in a bar.
No, it's not. It's not a good answer. I mean, like, realistically, though, at the end of the day, you shouldn't, in any workplace, you shouldn't feel like you're being assaulted. And she essentially felt like she was being assaulted. And yeah. Okay,
but in any workplace, you know, in this workplace, I don't expect to have drinks spilled on me. If I work in a bar, I do. Do you know what I mean? It just goes with the territory.
But I don't think it should have to go with the territory, do you know? Like, I don't think it's something that someone should expect to be, you know, verbally assaulted in that way or to be made feel like that. And if they are, then if that does come with the workplace, then the manager should be able
to... Lorcan, this woman obviously felt uncomfortable and she complained to her manager. Do you think realistically there was anything the manager could have done?
Well, any job, I think, if you feel uncomfortable, your manager should take it up and take it serious in any job. So that was my second point. It is managed wrong in that terms of speaking.
Okay, but what realistically, and this is what I want to get at here, what realistically could the manager have done? Let's say she said, okay, I'm going to deal with your complaint here, love. Now, what do you want me to do? Throw the fella out? Bar him so he never comes back again?
How about have a little word with him? And if he stops, he stops. And if he doesn't, ask him to leave. But at least he had the choice of stopping.
Or Adrian, she could have just been taken out of the situation. She could have been given a different job to do, maybe at the back or something like that. But the fact that the manager said there was nothing that could be done, that's really shocking.
Because obviously that manager is of the mindset of a lot of other people that it's just, it goes with the territory.
Everybody knows that it goes with the territory. You're working in a bar / nightclub. What do you expect?
Yeah, but the manager should be equipped to deal with stuff like this. Like, should be equipped to deal with her staff feeling uncomfortable. He or she obviously just isn't very good at their job.
Well, that's her duty as a manager to deal with it, and she clearly didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, I don't see the big point of when you're expected, you know, it's expected in that type of line of work.
But then you should be expected to have someone above you that can help you out if you are feeling uncomfortable. But she was just left on her own. She just had nothing.
Instead of complaining to the manager, how come she doesn't go over her head rather than saying anything to the lad? The lad might have stopped if he was asked to stop, but he wasn't. So she didn't.
Yeah, maybe she did ask him to stop. We don't know. You know, we don't know that.
All right, stay there for 1 second. Let me bring in some more calls on this. 6797104 is our telephone number. You've heard what we're talking about. A girl works in a bar. Oh, I'm probably being a sexist saying that. A woman who works in a bar and she gets comments on her boobs and she puts in a complaint and the manager says, well, there's not much I can do about it. Is she right to be upset? Is she right to be annoyed that nothing was done? Or is it, as Lorcan just said, it goes with the territory? Mark, you're on FM104. How are you, Mark?
How's it going, Adrian?
Grand, thanks, Mark. Now, you're also saying that this goes with the territory.
Yeah, it just depends on what line of work you do, like. really, in fairness. Like, I personally wouldn't say that to anyone. But I'm sure, like...
No, I would. Nor would I.
A lot of older lads with a bit of drinking and probably would. You know, they chance their arm saying something smart.
And do you think people are overreacting here?
Yeah, well, they are in a way. Like, let's say if your man kept going on, if this was going on for weeks maybe, and she made a complaint about it and the manager didn't do anything about it, then it'd be a big deal. But if it was just a once-off, like, I don't think it's that much of a big deal.
Let me ask you, Rebecca, have you ever worked in a bar?
Yeah, I was working in one over the summer.
And did you ever get comments like that?
Yeah, Adrian, I was saying earlier on, I got you get comments like that, but it's not really about, like, maybe it does come with the territory. Okay, that's fair enough.
I mean, you're not going to get those comments working in McDonald's, let's say. You're just not.
No, but at the same time, like, you haven't got control over what anybody else does. You know, they're not under a contract like they would be in an office, you know, that sort of way. But there should be someone there who can deal with a situation like this, such as a manager. But you shouldn't just be left to deal with this on your own. You just shouldn't be. It was mismanaged. That's just what I'm saying.
Okay, Peter, you're on FM104. How are you, Peter?
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Grand, thank you, Peter. You think that you're expected to take a bit of abuse in that line of work?
Yeah, well, I've been in the bar trade. I was in the bar trade for 3 years up into 2004.
Okay.
I trained staff, upskilled them, etc. I always told staff, you are expected to take a bit of stick in bar work, but you're not expected to take abuse. And that is, as far as I'm concerned, that's just a bit of stick. And on many occasions that I've had complaints from female staff that came to me was more about other female staff than about men commenting on them. And
did you ever have a member of staff saying, "Oh, here, that fella over there is after talking about my tits"?
I've never heard a female staffer. None ever came to me and said about it. And on one occasion, one girl laughing at it, that your man's trying to pull me, you know, and she loved it. You know, I said, look, just stay at his road, you know. And she said, no, I'm going over to serve him now. You know, some girls like it, some girls don't, but any girl that expects to go into a bar to work and not get comments, especially if she is big-chested and good-looking, there's something wrong with her. She doesn't realise she's...
Right, she's in the wrong line of business, is she?
Well, if she's applying for bar work, she should know what to put up with, especially on a Friday and Saturday night when a lot of people do get drunk on them nights. You know, if she doesn't know what to expect, she's going into the wrong trade. Simple as that.
Well, Rebecca, I mean, I know your point is that our manager dealt with it wrong. Mind you, Peter, when you were a manager, and let's say that lady came to you and said, that fella's over there making comments about me boobs, what would you have done about it?
Well, as somebody said there, I would have put her into another area to work. At the end of the evening, which we done regularly on a Saturday, which we spoke about amongst ourselves, all the staff, I would have had to take her to one side and say, look, that is part of the job on a Friday and Saturday evening when it is busy. And if you're not happy, you're no good to the company. Simple as that. Because if she's not happy...
But do you see it as a sexual harassment case?
Not in the bar trade, no, I don't.
If it was any other line of work, maybe?
Another line of work, maybe. At 30 years, I was in the bar trade, and I've had as much hassle that way from females and older females. No, and all it is a bit of crack.
Okay, let me give you an example. Rebecca, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, Rebecca, let me give you an example. I saw a young fella working in a bar. He'd be about 20, yeah? And he was a good-looking young fella. And there was a load of women in their 30s all out in a hen night or whatever the hell they were out. Anyway, they kept hitting on this young fella all night and telling him how gorgeous he was and rubbing their hands up and down his leg. And if it were the other way around, it would most certainly have been sexual harassment.
That's a great point, Adrian.
But this fella just took it in his stride, and he and I know he was uncomfortable. I was looking at him, but he just took it as the banter that goes with the job that he was doing.
Adrian, can I just on hen nights, I have actually seen some of my bar staff actually stripped.
Yeah, no, I've seen it myself. Sorry, Rebecca, what do you say to that? I mean, I saw that with my own two eyes.
Yeah. No, Adrian, I've been in those positions before, and sometimes you take it as a bit of crack. Everything's fine, no problem, just take it in your stride. And then sometimes If you're just not in the mind frame for it, you just had a bad day and now you've got this and then there's other people shouting at you and you just can't stick it and you go to your manager and say, listen, like, I'm just getting assaulted over here, like, is there anything that can be done? And they just flat out say, nah, sorry, it's with the job. Like, you can't be expected to work in an environment like that.
What I'm hearing from most people is, uncomfortable and all as it might be, it's all part of the job. And like I said, I don't expect a woman to, to put up with a group of lads on a stag night feeling her up, like happened with this young fella that I'm talking about. But a bit of, what do they call it, slap and tickle. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Honestly, I just think it's out of order. I really do. Like, and that poor fella, geez, like, fair play to him for sticking it.
And he did, and I have to say, he won my admiration that night because he was so he was only lounge staff, and he was so professional. He just went with, and you could tell, like, he was a young fella. He wasn't interested in these hell ones. But he just took it in his stride, and they're rubbing their hands up and down his leg every time he come over to the table, and he just laughed it off.
No, I've seen that as well, yeah.
He would have a story to tell the next night to his buddies.
Well, maybe so, yeah.
Have a laugh about it.
And have a laugh about it, all right. You see, Peter, I don't want this to come across as being, if you're in that business, it is acceptable for men to be sexist towards you and make sexist comments towards you.
Well, see, this is the thing, Adrian. They're sexist, but in the bar trade and the hospitality trade, you do have to be expected to take a bit of stick.
And that's what you see this as, a bit of stick, nothing more.
Yeah, it's all it is, a little bit.
Not sexual harassment, no?
I don't think so. Never did think of it.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Suzanne, you're on FM104. How are you, Suzanne?
I'm good. I actually work in the hospitality trade. I've worked in it the past 5 years.
Right.
And I have big breasts. On a daily basis, you get it. It is a part of the job. It's not.
Okay, now, give me an idea of what sorts of things you have to put up with. What sorts of things have been said to you?
Right, well, there 2 nights ago, I was on the bar, and there was a group of lads from England over, having the crack, having the banter all night with not a bother. And then they started saying, oh, geez, the size of your boobs. Big deal.
And did you just laugh at that, or did you run to your manager and say, I can't cope anymore and I want to take a sexual harassment case, or what did you do?
No, if you're going to be uptight like that and work in an industry like that, don't. If you're self-conscious of your body, do not go into a bar trade.
Thank you, Rebecca.
To go into, you don't do that. If you're self-conscious because you have big boobs and someone's going to comment on them, yeah, well, if they turned around and groped her, I'd say, right, that's a case.
And that was the example I gave of the young fellow who was being groped by a group of women. Now,
that was wrong.
No, I know it was wrong, but like I said, he just laughed it off and took it in
good stride.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure a woman, and I wouldn't expect a woman to do the same if it were a group of lads rubbing their hands along her leg and all that. I think it is different. But you're saying if this woman isn't in the right line of business, then?
No. She isn't. If she's going to get offended by someone commenting on her breast or any part of her body, she should not work in the bar trade. It comes with the territory.
And does it annoy you, or does it give you a spring in your step? Honestly,
it can be annoying sometimes, to be honest. But half the time, you just have to let it go and let it pass over your head and have the crack.
So when a fella says something like that to you, what do you say back? Do you say anything back?
To them, you say, yeah, and now it goes, and walk off. That's it. If it upsets you and you're in that trade, all you do is walk away from them. And if they follow you, that's a different story. Then you say to the manager,
no, well, then you're getting into dangerous territory, all right, yeah.
He's following you and still commenting about it, but not actually physically touching you. That's a scenario. But if he's just every time you walk by, says, oh, geez, size of them, or...
You see, the question is, Suzanne, and somebody just texted in a second ago, why is it not allowed in other jobs? Are some jobs exempt from protecting their staff? In other words, why should you have to put up with it? And I know you're saying you didn't, you just dealt with it and got on with it.
But it's not like you're signing up, like when you go into the industry or the hospitality industry, you're not signing up.
No, but if you were working, I don't know, let's say in a bank, and a customer walks in and says, oh, how are you? Oh, Jesus, look at your lovely tits, or look at your lovely boobs, or whatever. You'd soon be complaining to the manager and get that person not allowed into the bank anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, there's no drink involved there.
That's the thing. There, we've just hit the nail on the head. Rebecca, we've just hit the nail on the head here. That, unlike any other profession, when you're working in the bar trade, you're dealing with people who have drink taken.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
I'm sure you're saying to yourself, when you walked in the pubs, they'd have drink, they get brave. They think they're this, they think they're that, and they will comment. But you have to take that all into consideration and let it go, because if you don't, you're just going to be uptight and you're going to be unhappy in the workplace constantly. And it's not worth it. What's worth the stress?
But a lot of people are in jobs that they don't necessarily want to be in these days. And for those people that could have been, have degrees or whatever behind them, and now they find themselves in this bar job and now they're getting abused, it does feel like assault. And,
Well, let me ask you, sorry, what's your name? Suzanne, have you ever felt so uncomfortable that you'd feel like complaining?
Oh, yeah. I have in the past.
When it goes past just one comment?
Yeah. When it goes past more than once, a good couple of times, and it really hits a nerve. I started out in the bar trade when I was 16. I was a lounge girl. And I got a constant. I've been big-breasted since I was very young. I got a constant. I was underage. I had 30, 40-year-olds commenting on me. It did make me uncomfortable. And they were regulars, which made it even worse because I had to see them nearly half the time. And I did complain once to the manager. I said, I feel uncomfortable. And he spoke to him. He turned around and said, listen, either stop commenting on it or leave the premises. It's completely up to yourself.
Okay, well, that's totally different when we're talking about a girl who's underage. Let me just bring in one or two more calls. Mark, you're on FM104. How are you, Mark? Oh, Mark's not there. All right. Peter. Sorry, Peter. Yeah, go on. You wanted to say?
Yeah, Rebecca was saying there about talking to her manager and all, but in this day and age, and society and the recession and everything else, there's a lot of, if you go to a manager and say, look, what do you want me to do about it? And they say, well, put them out or bar them. Bar owners do not want to put staff out, or bar staff in this day and age.
Bar customers, you mean?
Yeah, they don't want to bar customers, or put them out where they won't come back. The whole idea of working on a bar, it's not just to serve drink, it's to serve it in a manner where that customer wants to come back again into that bar. That's the whole idea of, that's why my philosophy was, you have to take a bit of stick, but not abuse. And any girl, or fella for that matter, that's not able to take a bit of stick. And I've worked with fellas in bars where they've had stick as well for the way they looked or whatever. They have to laugh it off. And if they can't laugh it off or put up with it, they have to look for another job, because you can't afford to lose customers in any business these days.
All right, Peter, so your advice to that lady is, well, I mean, her manager shouldn't have ignored her. Her manager shouldn't have said, there's nothing I could do. The manager should at least have tried to listen to what she had to say.
Even the manager should even have moved her, as one of the girls said, to a different area of the bar or in behind in the kitchen until the end of day, and then had a chat with her and explain. Okay,
but not ignored it. All right, thanks very much indeed, Peter. Thank you, Rebecca, Suzanne, Mark. Thank you all of you for your calls.